Right, we've got our own questions to go through now. Crikey, we're nearly halfway through the show already. Bill's question this week. What's your question this week, Bill?
My question. Does trophies and in-game achievements damage the video game experience? Ash says no.
No, they're a completely optional thing. You don't need to do them. If you're that caught up on getting trophies and achievement points, then I'm sorry, that's a you problem.
Interesting. Okay.
I think I've certainly had less enjoyment from a game because I've chosen to try and get all of the trophies. I do find myself these days, I will check the trophies before I play the game, and I'll always be thinking of the trophies while I play through, and sometimes that can obviously distract you from just exploring and naturally have the game unfold for you, perhaps. But at the same time, it does promote longevity in the game, so you potentially get good value for money. But I think it's different with different games, because some games have easy trophies and some games don't have easy trophies. For example, what can I think of? Something like, say, The Last of Us and, well, all the Naughty Dog games, basically, Uncharted and whatnot. You get like 3 trophies from playing through the entire game, and that's it. Whereas a lot of other games, it will just constantly pop trophies and achievements at you, you know, every time you finish a level or, you know, press a button. Oh, hello. Ah, Iconic. Thank you, Iconic. We need to improve the sound effect for that alert. It's a bit anticlimactic, isn't it? It's literally just like it's just a Sonic Ring collection. Well,
I thought it sounded like cash register at first.
Well, it is. It's basically it's a Sonic Ring sound. But thank you very much, Iconic. Much appreciated. Awesome stuff.
I think what I was going for, John, is exactly what you said with regards to how I see it. You might like a game a lot, and yeah, you're right, Ash. It's completely optional. But you might think, how do I make this game longer or go back to it? And you go back to the achievements, and some of the achievements that comes up have this checklist mentality that can take a game you really liked and actually damage. I won't say ruin. I was going to say ruin originally in the question, but it can damage the experience. Recently, Crash Bandicoot was one of those because I've just finished Crash Bandicoot 4. And I actually really enjoyed it, except for all the achievements in it make you do some really stupid stuff. And by the end of it, you'll be so sick of the game as a result, just trying to max out or 100% this game that you used to like, that you just don't want to pick up anymore. Mm-hmm. And what the biggest one for me was Crackdown, for anyone who played that back on the Xbox 360, where it took 20 minutes to climb the tallest tower in the entire game. Did that, got the achievement, great, climbed down, looked at the next one in my achievement list, and the next achievement was to jump from the tallest building in the game and land in water. And lo and behold, the water is right next to me, and I was not climbing that tower again just because of that. So yeah, and like Last of Us, I'm playing through Last of Us 2 at the moment, and every time those achievements pop up and every time they come and present themselves, it kind of takes you out of the game, and it just seems like too many hoops to jump through to fully sort of damage the game and changes the atmosphere as you're playing through it. Not always.
It does become like a tick box. It's literally a checkbox exercise, isn't it? But then, as Ash says, it's only if you choose to. You can completely ignore them if you want. You can turn off your notifications. You don't have to care about getting trophies. But I do find that I certainly will go for them all the time. But then at the same time, I'll happily play, you know, a Mario game or whatever and on the Switch, and not having trophies or achievements on Nintendo titles doesn't bother me in the slightest.
No, that's true. It's just
so it works both ways.
Yeah, it just gives you that thing, like, if you want to see everything the game has to offer, it almost sort of suggests that you kind of have to do the trophies and achievements. And maybe, you know, I think Ash has probably destroyed that out of the water by literally saying the one thing that I didn't think of when I thought this question, is that I don't have to do them. I don't have to do everything the game gives me.
But I do think if you're the sort of person that wants, like, if it's a game you want to see everything of, you're gonna do that regardless of whether there are achievements for it or not.
Yeah, that's true. You don't
Like-
have to follow the list they've given you, I suppose, do you?
Because just use an example like Skyrim. If there were no achievements in that, I would still have played that as much as I did and got all of the like trophies for it anyway, because I would have just done them naturally through dossing around in Skyrim.
It's just some of the ones that they make you do stupid stuff, like, you know, hit 5 enemies with 1 bullet or whatever, you know, some of the more crazy achievements do. Or play multiplayer. You kind of want to complete the game 100%, or you really like this game, you want to enjoy everything it's got to offer, and then it forces you to play multiplayer to fill that achievement list. And I guess maybe it's me leaving a game behind without that 100% sort of filled in sometimes, or without it glaringly saying you've missed this. It does leave a little bit of an annoyance when I've put that on the shelf.
2 things from me. When the Xbox 360 first came out and we first had achievements, I loved it. It was brilliant.
You went crazy.
I did go crazy. And I think in total, I mean, you have to bear in mind that I was PlayStation for the last 8 years. So, but when I say, so up to between 2006 2013, like the 360 generation, I think I've got about 65,000 G, which is a ridiculous, obscene amount to normal people. But when you work for a national game retailer who lets you borrow second-hand games, I would find myself borrowing games in order simply just to get points. I know it's pathetic, but I did all of the 2K sports series, because NBA 2K6 had 6 achievements in it. In the early 360 games, the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game on the 360 had like 10 achievements in it, and there was that Avatar: The Last Airbender game where you could get all the 1,000 points in 10 seconds just from doing one combo. So yeah, I rinsed loads of stupid games that I would never have touched. I didn't enjoy them. I didn't play them to have fun or anything. It was literally just to get that number to go up. And then I had this real crazy thing where the last number of my total achievements was a 3, and I really wanted to round it up to a 5 or a 0, because old games had achievements that were like random numbers, like 1 point and 3 points, whereas now they're all divisible by 5. And so I had this odd number, and I've had that for about 7 or 8 years now. So yeah. And the other thing is, as some of you may know, I played Skyrim, and when it came out on Game Pass, I went through Skyrim again on my Series X. And as Kisra mentioned in the chat, yes, I did. I grinded for, it was a good 2 days solid, constantly casting that stupid illusion spell and resetting my illusion skill just to grind up from level, whatever it was, 50 to level 70, whatever it is you need to be for the legendary dragons to spawn. And so I had absolutely no fun for 2 days just to get a trophy, just because it was the last one. I love it.
And it was completely optional.
And nobody cares. No one cares. No one cares at all. But
did it damage the game for you though?
No, because I still love the game.
Oh, there you go. That answers my question.
But it did. But yeah, I didn't enjoy doing it. Just to come back to Hyconic's donation there. Hyconic asked a question with his donation. He wanted to know what our thoughts were about Resident Evil 8. But unfortunately, Hyconic, we've already discussed that at the start of the show. And I know you want me to discuss the brand new character called Eric Shun, but no, I see what you tried to do there.
Eric Shun?
We'll move on.
Okay.
We'll move on.
I Google Eric Shun.
Nice.
I wouldn't.
Okay, let's move on very quickly to Fanata's question, which is... Oh my god. Fanata says, what is the big gap in your gaming collection that you should own but don't or can't afford?
Who's going first?
Well, my answer will be really quick, so I'll go first. Nothing, because I don't really like hoard game collectible stuff like that. So yeah, I don't have anything missing because I don't have a massive collection. Like, I don't have all but one of the Final Fantasy games or anything like that. So,
What if we reverse the question for you, Ash, to make it more maybe you focused? What is there an anime or a manga or maybe a K-pop album or something like that you would potentially say?
no, because I don't really like. I don't A, buy physical stuff all that often, and B, like, nothing really bothers me. I suppose the closest I would get is I had, this was a few years ago, I had a set of books that all had matching covers, and I lost one of the books and had to go and buy the book, but it had to have the same cover. But this was a few years ago, and it was only because they were in like a display box, so I wanted to be able to display them. But yeah, I don't really hoard stuff like that. I just have what I want.
I envy you. Mine's Chibi Robo on the GameCube.
You haven't got it?
No, I bought it and I didn't think it was very good because at the time I was into fighting games and it was really slow and it's kind of it's more of like a Sims game than anything else. And I bought it when it was on release date on the GameCube, and I pretty much got like a full set of GameCube games, or pretty much everything I want, except for that one. Because now when you try and buy it, it's like 250 quid because no one bought it.
Ooh.
So I traded it in when I was fed up with it and said, yeah, I'll buy it again, not realizing it would turn into one of the biggest collectors' most expensive games on the GameCube. So. Yeah, Chibi Robo. It always stares me in the face, saying, "You used to own me, and you got rid of me. Now you have to pay the price if you ever want me again."
Sorry, how much does it cost to get a copy of that, Bill? Now?
Last time I checked was 250 quid.
Oh, jeez! If it was like 30 quid, I'd have been nice and said, "You know what, Bill? I'll find that for you."
No,
Okay.
250 pounds.
Wow. Yeah, you won't get that from me.
It's really not worth that at all. It really isn't. But it does bother me.
Just trying to think, what is missing from my gaming collection? To be honest, as it goes, I mean, if you don't count, OLL and the cafe that has got, every console and, we've got like the top 20 games more or less for every console since, 8-bit right through to the latest stuff. If you don't count what the cafe's got, personally, my own games collection is pretty much non-existent as it goes. I used to collect back in the day when eBay first became like a big deal and a thing. I bought literally everything. I had every console going. I imported all the random things from Japan. I had a Wonder Mega, a Multi Mega. I had a SNES 2, all the 3DOs, all the Neo Geo stuff. I've had all of that. And life circumstances and whatnot, that all got sold and disappeared quite a long time ago. But because I've kind of already had everything I wanted to have in terms of like retro and collecting, I don't really have that need now to collect it. So weirdly, considering, what I do for work and all that kind of stuff, literally all I have by my TV is my new Xbox and my new PlayStation. That's it. I don't have anything else hooked up. And the only other thing I've got in the house is a couple of like retro, like the mini consoles, which are really just here because I've got them for if I need them for videos and stuff for work. So yeah, I don't really have anything that I need. And there really was, to circle back to actually answer your question, Bill. Has Bill frozen?
I was going to ask you about your F1 collection.
I'm coming to that.
Oh, okay.
Coming to that, Bill. I'm telling the story.
Oh, well, you're building it up.
That's all right. I know, it's dragged on a little bit. Sorry, I didn't mean for it to go on that long.
No, you just said you've got nothing to collect. You've got like 130 games.
Get into that. But yeah, the only thing that was missing from my collection at the time when I was a collector was the Panasonic Q, the silver GameCube. But I did acquire that a couple of years ago. But I'll show you that in a minute. Other than that, the thing that I do collect now is Formula 1 video games, which is like the nerdiest category within the nerdiest pastime that you can do. So, so yeah, I collect Formula One themed video games, like the official F1 games and unofficial F1 licensed games. And there's about 260 of them that were released in Europe. I'm not going for the Japanese ones because I can't read the names and so I don't really understand them. But generally they're all the same, but released with different names. But I've got 230 of them, and there's about 30 left to get. So
What's
yeah.
the last big one then? Is there like one that's really pricey out of that 30?
All 30 of the ones that I need for my collection are all either so hard to find because they're so old that when they come up they'll be really expensive. A lot of them I just haven't ever seen them come up. I know they exist, but I've never seen them for sale. But there are some titles out there that are like 300 quid. There's an old game called Vroom, which was on Atari and Amiga, which is like 200 or 300 quid. So yeah, I'm not going to get them anytime soon. But I haven't got any more space on my shelves anyway. So anyway, that's enough of me going on. And then you were all thinking, but
every collector says that about their shelves. I haven't got enough room. Like that's stopping you. You know you're going to get another shelf.
Well, yeah, exactly. I already know which extra shelf I'm going to get. That's why I've got a bully bookcase, because they're extendable. Because you told me about the extended shelf, so I'm going to get that and whack it on the top. So it's all good. Vroom was amazing, says Ashens. Vroom evolved into Domark's Formula 1 on the Mega Drive and the Atari and the SNES. And I have all of those games, but I don't have Vroom. So if anyone's got a real copy of Vroom, let me know. And it doesn't really cost 250 quid. I'll buy it off you for 20 quid. Right, where are we? What's next? We actually missed out on my question, which kind of ties in with my Panasonic. And my question was, what is the best looking games console of all time? Your answers, please.
You got one, Ash?
Yeah. I'm gonna personally say the yellow Switch Lite, which is a controversial option. Ooh. Because yellow is my favourite colour. I can play all of the Switch games that I'd want to play on it. It's small enough for my tiny 5'2" child hands. And I think all of the other consoles are either boring black boxes or just ugly. So yeah, Switch Lite, bright yellow. That's what I like.
To be fair, I think the Switch is a very good-looking handheld console.
The dock is a bit naff, I thought.
You can get nicer ones.
Just put a sticker on it, or do what Nintendo do and just literally.
On it.
Well, yeah. Well, no, seriously, that's what you do. You buy the skins, don't you? Or like what Nintendo are doing with the new red and blue Mario one. You can have a red dock and pay an extra 30 quid for it, because apparently red plastic is more expensive than grey plastic. By the way, we've got 5 of them. You can pre-order them now.
I'm gonna go with the Sega Saturn, because I just liked
the Saturn.
Yeah, I thought the Saturn was the nicest console because
It's like one of the ugliest consoles ever made, Bill.
No, I don't think so.
It's a good console, but it's fugly.
What did the PlayStation 1 look like?
The PS1 looks incredible.
It's a grey box.
Yeah,
but it's a modern grey box.
What does most of them look like these days?
All new consoles these days look rubbish.
No,
because I'm old.
The PlayStation 1, if you got a pre-owned PlayStation 1 now, because it was made back in '96, what would it look like now? A yellow, horrible mess, because all grey and light-coloured consoles go a horrible colour.
No, they don't. The PS1... Oh, I haven't got it. The PS1 still looks good today. Ashens makes a good point, actually. This Japanese grey Saturn looks quite good. I had... Go on, Ash.
Oh, I was just going to say that if I was going to pick a retro console, I'd pick the white and red Famicom, because it's different.
Oh, yes. I had a... what was it? I had a Hitachi, or was it a JVC Saturn?
Are you counting the controller as well and the HUD on inside, or is it just the console itself?
To be honest, I didn't put that much thought into the question, Bill. But if you talk about controllers, Saturn controllers are quite nice, I suppose, aren't they?
Well, because I suppose if you're going for the whole thing, I'd probably say the N64 was a very good-looking console, minimalistic with an interesting controller. Good. I just don't think Sony and Xbox. Actually, maybe the old Xbox original, because that was, although that was a beast, there was a lot of really interesting like crystal Xboxes and plain Xboxes and stuff like that.
I'm not a fan of the crystal plastic consoles. They just look cheap. Fnatt had it right. It was the high Saturn. That's what I was thinking of. The Hitachi high Saturn. I also had a white Saturn. In fact, Bill, I'll give you that. The white Saturn did look good.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I thought the Saturn, no matter what you did to it, it always looked good. It was because of its minimalistic design. It was just more varied. Whereas if you look at the PlayStation 2, which I probably think is the ugliest console in the world, it just looked like a George Foreman grill. Why would anybody want that on their shelf?
PS2 did not look good. There's a lot of good-looking consoles now that I'm thinking about it. I love the original Mega Drive. I think the original SNES, the American SNES.
The original Mega Drive with that horrible grey button.
If you were 10 years old when the Mega Drive came out, Bill, and you saw that Mega Drive for the first time, you would realise that was the most futuristic thing that ever existed. Anyway, the correct answer is, I don't know if my cable's long enough here.
Correct answer.
The correct answer for the best looking console of all time is the Panasonic Q.
Is it?
Yes, Bill, it is.
Surely that just catches every fingerprint and bit of dust and looks naff though.
Yeah.
It's like
it's got a mirror on the front, so where I have it on my shelf next to my TV, it reflects everything, and if the light's on, there's no way that the light cannot reflect off the front of it and blind me. So I have to turn it to a slight angle.
You've gone from saying it's the greatest console that ever looked to, oh yeah, but it's got this glaring problem at the front of it because it reflects light into my eye.
Because it's unique. Look, I've got some proper pictures here. Come on. I've made an effort here. I've taken some pictures. Here we go. So here it is. It's got a blue light up screen on the top as well. It plays DVDs and GameCube games. And it does CDs and stuff as well. It's Japanese though, so I can't plug it in. But this was my holy grail. This was, coming back to the earlier question, this was the one thing that I never ever owned and could never get. And I finally managed to come across one about a year and a half ago now. And so I picked it up, and this is the only other sort of gaming related console that I still have.
It looks like a cold box.
No.
It looks like you go to a picnic, you put some drinks in that, you know, just to keep them cold with some sort of ice packs.
No, it doesn't, Bill. But yeah, as you can see, it's got a slightly mirrored front there. It's a perfect mirror, though. It's one of the best mirrors you'll ever find.
Look, it's got buttons on it. The whole purpose of a mirror is to see your face in it.
It's got blue lights on it, though, Bill. The controller ports have got blue rings round them and stuff. That's some of my F1 collection in the background there as well, if anyone cares. 3 of the 8 shelves.
You're clearly very proud of it, and I can see why.
I am. Just give me this moment, Bill. Give me this moment. There's the top of it. It's got more buttons on the top because it needs to double up the buttons that it's got on the front. You have to have a separate set of buttons for the video features. And the back of it, look, it's got proper stereo outputs and stuff. Your normal GameCube didn't have that. You just have your digital AV out. Still got the screws as well, so I can take it apart if I need to.
It's a proper Panasonic system, isn't it?
There we go. Pass the plunger in the chat. Thank you. I have a Panasonic Q and it's the best looking system in my collection. See, they know what they're talking about.
It must be the only console they own then. Like, not to ruin your moment, John.
That's fine. I've had my moment. I'm all right now.
But that is like one. It's on PS5 levels of ugly. Like.
Wow.
The Game Boy Advance was quite nice. Game Boy Advance SP, because they did loads of different variations of that, didn't they? So that was quite a cute little console.
You know what?
Yeah, I'm with Ash on this one.
The Game Boy Micro was a good-looking console. It was just so small it was unusable.
But it's barely a console. I think it minimised everything to make you think, well, I think it looks good. It's just really tiny, so I have to...
Well, compared to that new Game Gear that came out last year, it's monstrous. I really want to try out one of those new little Game Gears. Anybody got one? I'd love to do a little playthrough. What? I don't even know what games are on. They're Japan only, aren't they?
Yeah, at the moment.
9, 8,